Introduction to absolute value. Absolute value is the distance that a number is from 0. So it's always going to be positive. We can't have negative distance. You don't walk 3 blocks to school and then negative 3 blocks home. So let's take the absolute value of 6. It's 6. Let's take the absolute value of negative 6. It's also 6. So there's 2 different things that could be inside those absolute value bars that would result in the answer of 6. Because there are 2 different items on the number line that are 6 units away from 0. That's 6 units away from 0, and that's 6 units away from 0. So that's why there's going to be 2 answers most of the time on an absolute value problem. So let's take some algebra with absolute value. What values are going to be 4 units from 0? Right? The absolute value of what is equal to 4? Right? The answer, the instructions are going to be solve and then graph it on the number line. So there's our number line. 4 is definitely 4 units from 0, but also there's another number that's 4 units from 0. That's part of our answer, but negative 4 is also 4 units from 0. Absolute value of negative 4 is also 4. That's a true statement also. So that's another part of our answer. We have 2 independent parts of our answer, so it's going to be or. Right? They're 2 different answers. 4 is not negative 4, so that's why it's an or. Okay, let's do another one. What things are negative 8 units from 0? Well, let's look. There's 0. What's negative 8 units away? Nothing. Distance is not negative. If you have a negative after the equal sign on an absolute value problem, the answer is no solution. There's no such thing. Anytime you have an absolute value equal to a negative, it's going to be no solution. So let's do another little one. Absolute value of x is equal to 2. Those are my 2 different answers that are 2 units away from 0. So x is going to be equal to negative 2, or x is going to be equal to 2. Those are the 2 answers. Let's do another one. Absolute value. Now we've got an algebraic expression in there. Something is equal to 2. The absolute value of something is equal to 2. That something is x plus 5. So this time, we know, as in the past, there's 2 different things that are 2 units from 0. But in the past, we've always had one of them be negative and one of them be positive. So we're going to say that thing in the center can either be a negative version of itself or a positive version of itself. We'd have to distribute that negative, solve the little equation. Negative x is equal to 7. Multiply both sides by negative, or divide both sides by negative. Either way we go, we get x is equal to negative 7. Then we're going to solve the regular one. Remember, we're almost always going to have 2 answers, so unless we just have an x in there, we're usually going to have 2 algebra problems to do. So we've got x is equal to negative 3. So those are going to be my 2 answers connected by or. And we can leave it at that. If you want to know more, we can talk about more. If you don't want to know more, then well, let's go ahead and graph that answer first. So note, okay, if you want to know why, I'm going to tell you why those things aren't 2 and negative 2, right? Notice, and you can tune out to this and go on to the next slide if you want to. But notice they're still 4 units apart. We just picked up those two blue dots and shifted them over. It's a translation. Remember translations from geometry? Those are going to come back this year. So it was just a translation. Everything just moved 5 units over to the left. So we're going to be seeing translations when we graph lots of other things this year. So this is just the first translation. Do you have to recognize that? No. It's just nice to know that that's really what it is, because we'll see it over and over again. Another note, okay? You can go on to the next video if you're at the edge of your rope. But if you kind of want another deeper thing here, we said the absolute value of x equals 8 would have 2 answers, -8 and +8, right? Or +8, right? Well, if we have that expression in the middle has been multiplied, then think about, what do you think the answer is going to be? When we had the addition problem inside the absolute value, it was just a straight translation. It just shifted to the left. This time, when we solve these, they're going to get closer together. So we have 2 answers that are closer together. What do you think is going to happen? Well, here, we're going to graph these first. If we graph the original one, they're both 8 units from 0, so they're 16 units apart. Next one, they're 4 units from 0, so they're 8 units apart. What do you think happens if we do this problem? Are they going to get closer together or farther apart? We're going to clear our fraction, multiply. Then we got -16, and because there's no addition, as long as there's no addition, it's always going to be the positive and negative of the same number, so they got farther apart. So when the coefficient gets smaller, they get farther apart. When the coefficient gets bigger, they get closer together. So we'll relate that again when we get to quadratics, but just nice to know. You need to be able to solve it. You don't need to be able to dissect it, but it's great if you can.